Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
Just let the light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Just let the light of mine. Just let the light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Yeah, you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, doughboy, weak, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, weak. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the message when you see me fresh. Salute. Salute. You do good, brother?
Hi, greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am J Love, and I represent the Justice for Gerard movement also. Gerard is my son who was wrongly convicted of a crime that he didn't do, innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And because of that journey, we come here every Friday to discuss wrongful convictions and injustice. And so thank you for joining us tonight. Again, on a Friday night, I want to send a shout out for those who are watching on Instagram and those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook. Welcome, you guys. And also those who might listen or watch later. Thank you. We appreciate your support and everything you're doing to keep us going. So thank you so much. So I want to get into our mission. Our mission is here on Turning a Moment into a Movement. Was inspired by the wrongful conviction of Gerard and built from the urgent need to create a safe, empowering space for all who have been harmed by injustice. Our mission is to shine a light on wrongful convictions, over sentencing, and the neglect of those who are mentally ill or medically frail within the criminal legal system. We are committed to uplifting voices, sharing truth, and advocating for those too often silenced. Through education, community organizing, and courageous storytelling, we work to disrupt the systems, policies, and patterns that fuel injustice, transforming awareness into collective action and turning every moment into a movement for real change. So, yes, that's why we come here every Friday. Thank you for joining us. So tonight we have Miss Diane on, and our title is When Justice Failed, the story of David McKinney. Um, I'm going to bring on the panel first, and then we're going to get into that tonight. So first I see Trisha, so we're going to start with Trisha, and then we're going to keep it moving. Hey, Trisha.
Good evening, Jay, and everybody that is listening. What a blessed day it is, right? Any day above ground, I think it's a blessed day. So happy to be here with you. My name is Trisha Duckworth. I'm the executive director of Survivor Speak. Really, I'm just somebody that hates injustice and believes that it's our duty to answer the call when it pertains to fighting for justice. There's not really any cause that I won't battle unless I feel a strong sense of not to. But when I see injustice, it just boils my blood, And my hope is that that energy can pass to others, because oftentimes we sit on the sidelines and injustice doesn't affect us at all. So we think until it does. And I'm just encouraging everyone, everyone everywhere, put your hand to the plow. You might not be doing the exact same thing we're doing, but we all need to be doing something that is necessary in aiding injustice. I laugh every time people put their hand on their chest and they say, with liberty and justice for all. If we really mean that, then we all need to get busy, because everybody don't have liberty and everybody don't have justice.
That's right, Trisha. Trisha.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Trisha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So we are so lucky to have you tonight. We had some conversations with Crystal this week, and there's never nothing good going on inside Huron Valley. Let's see, the heat is not on. It's freezing cold in there. It's so cold that they can't even take showers. It's just one thing after another. But it's still not going to stop Crystal. She's still, strong, and, she's still working at it. And we are too. So just wanted to give that small update about Huron Valley. And again, I know we said this last week, but we just want to thank everyone who participated. Prayer event. It was an awesome event. And if you missed it, you can go watch it on Facebook or YouTube. Turning a moment into a movement. It was a powerful event, and we hope to do it again.
Yeah, the wheels been turning. I believe there was something that was really just kind of like shaking in the atmosphere that day. And, the wheels always been turning, but seemed like something clicked, because, we started to get a lot of feedback after that. And so we just looking to see what is going to further manifest. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you got to pray, right? But we also, faith without works is dead. So if all you're going to do is pray, you may as well get up.
Need you to pray and get into action.
That's yes.
So I see Leslie. Hey, Leslie.
Good morning.
You like me yesterday. I was telling Jay, I'm so sorry. I'm late for the show. She's like, Jay, it's Tuesday.
See, I also echo in what you said, and also happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, many December birthdays, seem to be my people. But yeah, in the month of December. Yes. I am Leslie McGraw. I am the founder of Let's Go Social Media Marketing and Training, and then the Albert Williams Voting Corner, which came about just because I found that I was more drawn to things of civic nature and and that put family and justice first. And I feel I'm reminded that the work that we do, we may not always see the outcomes that we want, but we can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my thing, is finding ways to evaluate success. I keep thinking about this guy I met at a church service I spoke for, and he said that I had motivated him to vote, and he said, I guess I just never wanted to play a game I knew I couldn't win. And I said, wow, that just stuck with me. And that's what we're doing in this fight for wrongful convictions and injustice. Sometimes it feels like it's so much coming at you, you can't win, but um, we are winning, because silence is the L. Silence is the L. So well, I that's what's in my mind. And I'm eager to learn more about Mr. David McKinney.
Yeah, me too.
Man, you just said something, Leslie, because I think your expectation has to be set somewhere. And I think that's the problem when we come into this fight. Sometimes we looking for the win, but if you already believe it's going to be a win, you just keep going to the next assignment until the win comes. The manifestation of that is not up to us. And we will continue to push until that happens. But that was powerful what you said, man, because you got to see yourself winning before you win. Everything we do, we got to see ourselves doing it. We have to feel ourselves doing it in order to manifest what it is. And so we know we are manifesting justice one day at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we're going to bring truth to the forefront and shine a light on a case that has been buried under years of injustice and corrosion and ignored evidence. We're talking about David McKinney, a man who has spent over 2 decades behind bars for a crime, and the evidence showed that he did not commit. A conviction built on terrified child statement, which is crazy, now recanted, and a forced confession extracted by officers with a long history of misconduct. So joining us tonight is, she's not a guest. She is a part of the group, Miss Diane from Voice of Detroit, who is an investigative journalist, for those who don't know, and who has uncovered critical details about David's case. And we also honored to have Cheryl McKinney, David's mother, whose courage and persistence continue to drive this fight for justice. So tonight we're not telling a story. We are pushing a movement. We are exposing the truth, and we are demanding accountability. And we are standing with David. So let's bring on Miss Diane. Hi, Diane.
Hello. How is everybody? Good to see everybody.
Great.
Hello.
And also David's mother, Cheryl McKinney.
Hello.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Great. So, Miss Diane, welcome again.
Okay, good to be here.
Let's talk about David McKinney, and then we're going to talk to Cheryl.
Okay. You want to start with Cheryl or?
No, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Cheryl.
Okay. All right. Well, the story that I just published on David McKinney's case is a story of a wrongful conviction by repeat offender Inkster cops. It's a part of a series of stories that Voice of Detroit has done on wrongful convictions by cops like Anthony Del Greco, who was the main instigator in this case, along with other police officers, including Gerald Hill, that were involved in David's case. And the conviction of David McKinney was an atrociously fabricated conviction, where the police recruited Anthony Del Greco and his co-partners in the Inkster Police Department, recruited a young child, 14 years old, and told him what to testify to about a horrific crime. It was the death of, one second, Clyde Alexander, a black English gun shop owner in 2004, due to beating, and then his gun shop was set on fire and he expired in that fire. A really brutal crime that was pinned on David and others. Now, David had no previous record of any kind of such offense, particularly not for a brutal crime like that. And how they engineered the whole conviction over a period of months prior to his final arrest. He was arrested in August of, they also, I'm sorry, let me go back to the way the story runs. They also elicited a false confession from David under pressure of telling him that he was going to face the death penalty if he didn't and agree to confess to the crime. He was not allowed to have his attorney present. His attorney was a very progressive, was an activist in the Inkster community, black attorney. And from the day David was first arrested in August of 2004, April, I think, 2004, they arrested him on a charge, on a charge that was never a charge. They arrested him on an incident from 2002 where he was stopped and on a gun charge. And I believe that's what it was. My memory, Cheryl can probably correct some of the stuff that if I'm getting anything wrong. But they used that to start laying the grounds to convict him of the murder of Clyde Alexander in the gun shop. And they began with that first arrest. They held him for a couple of weeks. And during that time, they concocted evidence against him. They went in his cell and got the blankets that they had given him deliberately and used them in a false, a fake police dog trailing that didn't end up producing anything. But in one of the chief things in his case is that the private investigator, Vicky Yost, who's a well-known private investigator in the legal community, and also known to Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. She had sent him to the Conviction Integrity Unit in 2021 that totally dismantled the case against David. And some of the things she said in that report, the only independent witnesses the day of the crime describe a white male fleeing the scene, private investigator Vicky Yost. There is no evidence linking David McKinney to the crime scene or any guns or other items taken from the same. The background facts and physical description do not match David McKinney. She also reports that the Wayne County Assistant Prosecutor Elizabeth Walker, who talked to her about Anthony Del Greco, the offender, the cop offender in this case, that she told Vicky Yost, Del Greco is a liar and you cannot trust anything he says. Walker named 3 cases where he had lied to the prosecution and she was willing to testify in court about those matters. Those cases are listed in the story in a box. And they're basis for serious Brady violations because none of this was disclosed during David's trial to the defense, the other things that he had committed. And so when you read the story, let me go down to that part. He, of another individual, advised, where Walker was advised by the female witness that she had been held for 2 to 3 days and given multiple statements. She indicated each time she would write something down, Del Greco would take it and ball it up. Walker reviewed the full Inkster police file and located multiple statements that were wrinkled, consistent with the female witness, and was told she was provided with only 1 statement. Charges were adjourned and later dismissed, called U.S. versus Cican, C-I-C-A-N, from 2001. In that case, he manufactured evidence regarding a bomb threat that the person was convicted of making, and falsely convicted. He had manufactured phone evidence, and that's explained in my article. So, and in her report, she also she says police misconduct, possible perjury. Detective Anthony Del Greco testified in the Walker hearing in the McKinney case on June 24th, 2005. In the Walker hearing, he testified McKinney was arrested on another case unrelated to the homicide investigation. Under cross, he reasserted that he was arrested on a narcotics charge. That's what it was, in narcotics. August 19th of 2002. Denied the narcotics warrant was a device to bring McKinney into custody. No physical evidence exists linking David McKinney to the crime scene or any guns or other items taken from the scene. And this whole case, I mean, the report from Vicky Yost is stunning in its details, the depth of its research, and the fact that she submitted it to the Conviction Integrity Unit. And later, there was, they denied, they refused to take the case, as they did in the case of another Robin Hammond, whose case I'm covering. I'm still working on a story on that. But they refused to take the case, despite Vicky Yost's condemnation. Vicky Yost used to be chief of police in Inkster for a while. Prior to that, she served in the Detroit Police Department for many years. And she's well acquainted with police techniques and proper handling of cases. And the report, it's linked in the story. You can read her whole report there. And it just totally blasts what the prosecution contended against David. So, wow. And he's been in prison for 20 years now. He is still awaiting a new
I think Diane, Cheryl,
court
Diane is buffering.
He wants to have a new court hearing.
So, Cheryl.
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Okay, yeah, tonight. It was spinning around. Yeah.
Join us. tonight on turning the moment into a movement. Um, can you tell us a little bit, give us a background about David before all of this happened? You know, who is David, and just a little, yeah, and what we should know about him.
David. He was no saint. I will not lie. We were estranged at the moment when he got arrested. He was of age and he didn't want to follow my rules, and so you had to go. But we were, he was still in touch. And but David, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe David. He was, I used to call a wannabe thug. Okay. And he chose that life. And I'm not quite sure why he chose that life. But it was just petty, like the little narcotics charge that they pulled him in on, um, under the guise of questioning him about this murder. But that's as far as it went. Back in the day, that was what was going on in the community. The little guys, the hand to hand kind of things, and that was as far as David ever went. Um, and so when he got arrested, we were just like, um, I can't even explain how I felt. They first arrested him in August when the crime first happened, and they had to release him because they didn't have any evidence against him. So between August and November, when they rearrested him, is when they were at work manufacturing this case. And but I can tell you who David is now, and I always tell people I wouldn't wish prison on anybody, but I didn't have a relationship with David before he went into prison. And what it's done is reunited us. And I tell him every day how proud I am of him. He's handled it the way he had. I mean, we've had some bumps along the way because he kind of got caught up in the drug scene there. And that was like 2 or 3 years of pure hell. And he's been clean since February of this year and is conducting himself in a manner that is beyond anything I would have ever thought I would have seen out of him. But he is a kind soul. It's hard to explain. He was never, I mean, he was raised in a middle class home. He had everything he needed. And he just kind of chose to kind of go the other way. And I just prayed for him every day. There was really nothing else I could do but pray for him. But at the end of the day, God is going to bring David home. I believe that from the very beginning. David is coming home, just like Ms. Duckworth said. David is coming home. I know he's coming home. It's just a matter of when. And I appreciate Diane for kind of getting the case out there, because we've just been sort of kind of playing by the rules this whole time. When Vicki did that report, we finally thought, finally somebody gets it. Somebody understands what we've been saying this whole time. And when they turned him down, we just could not believe it. It was like you had the person who you said did it tell you that he lied to you. And yet you don't take up his case. I don't understand it. And they probably didn't know. I was on the phone when they interviewed Clifford because he wanted me to be there to hear what they had to say. And at the end of him telling his story, they encouraged him to put in an application to the CIU for what he had been through. And I couldn't believe it, and he told them from the beginning. He told me when we found Clifford in 2020. And unfortunately, it was right before COVID hit.
And when COVID hit, everything shut down. You couldn't do anything. We couldn't do anything other than kind of keep in touch. And I don't know this young man. I've never met him before in my life. I've spoken to him on the phone a handful of times. But I believe him. His story lines up with the confession that they got out of him. I've got a copy of the confession with Del Greco and McLaughlin interviewing him, and they did a transcript of it. And I believe him when he told me the story. His story lines up with that confession, and it's never wavered. Neither has David. All these 20 years, whenever David tells his story, not one thing changes, not one. And you would think after all this time they would slip up at some point, like something would change, and oh, you said this the first time. It's like it's always the same. And I just can't understand how, thinking of Del Greco, I just like, who are you to say this is supposed to be David's life?
Yeah.
You don't get to do that, but you think you have all this power, and you could just say, well, somebody's got to go, and it's going to be you. And then you just get to go on with the rest of your life. And then we have to live and deal with what we've been through for 20 years. And I always say, him and Kim Worthy, at some point, you're going to have to answer to somebody higher than all of us. And if only I could be there that day to see that. That's about all I can say. I'm sorry for babbling, but it's like,
Not babbling.
Not babbling.
It's just
Is Clifford the young? Is the gentleman you talk about?
Let me
Clifford,
say
the young
something too
man?
about Anthony Del Greco. He retired from the Inkster. He's now working for the Wayne County Medical Examiner. He's never had to face any kind of retribution, conviction, any kind of discipline.
So he was able to retire?
For the multiple wrongful convictions he's been involved in. David is living his life out in prison, that they're looking to have any wrongful players in there. They're just going to wait and reset them in an environment that they can be, that they can okay in the future.
Diane is having a connection problem. She's going in and out.
They've sent to have their life.
So Cheryl,
yeah.
When was the first time when you first heard about David being questioned about this case? What was going through your mind?
It was kind of funny. The first time he was arrested was in August, when the crime first happened. And I was in a van on my way back home from Canada. I was in a van with a couple of friends, and we were coming back from a retreat. And he called me and he told me where he was. And we just prayed right then and there, because I couldn't even believe what he was telling me. The first thing I knew is, you need an attorney. I can't remember I just can't remember. I remember I went to the police station and Greg Hill did allow me to see him, even though he said he wasn't supposed to. And I just remember looking at David's face through the glass. I can see it right now. He was terrified. You could just see the look on his face. He was, I want to say he was 21 at the time, but David was younger than 21 in his mind. I could tell you that he wasn't an adult in the sense of the word, that somebody who is taking care of himself and out and about doing things. David wasn't there yet. And I could just remember the look on his face. I could see it just in my mind. He was terrified. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. And you don't know what to do either, but we knew you need an attorney, you know? And I got him an attorney. And it's just, don't say anything to anybody, you know? And the first, because so in August, of course, they couldn't hold him. They didn't have anything to hold him on. And I remember his attorney telling him, if they ever arrest you again, you know, call me, don't say anything. And when they rearrested him in November, David knew not to say anything, and I want my attorney, but they never turned his phone on. So he wasn't able to call his attorney. And so in the meantime, while he's not having access to a phone, is where they're getting him to write this statement and letting him know that we've got somebody that can put you there at the scene. And so you know, get ahead of it kind of thing. You know, if you just write this, they got him to write a statement that says he wasn't part of anything, he just planned it. And that's all he did. So they made it like kind of minimal as possible. So he would believe like, all you're going to get is like conspiracy. You'll go home in 2 years or something like this. And they just, of course, that's not how it goes. But they threatened him with, because it was the gun charges, that it could have went federal. So that means they could put, you know, your face in the death penalty. And then they let him sit in prison, you know, in the cell overnight with no phone to think that over. And then in the next day, they got him to write the statement. And that's all they needed, this, because they didn't even need to call Clifford at his trial, because they got him to write the statement. But they knew they needed that statement because Clifford's story was not going to hold up, because Clifford changed his story several times along the way until they got the one they wanted out of him. And if he was a minor,
I was going to say
they couldn't control him once they put him on the stand. They knew that,
right?
You know, and so we got to get David to say he did it, or else, you know, because Clifford, he was on the witness list, but they didn't call him. They used David's statement to convict David.
Yeah, because Clifford was, what, 14 years old?
Clifford tells me he was 12, 13. By the time they got to trial, he might have been 14. And he was questioned without a parent. And that's what the CIU was telling him, that he had a case. You know, oh, they questioned you without your mother there? Oh, you got a case with that. You know, yeah, we knew that. But you got a 12-year-old that the police keep driving around telling him, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to say, you know. And of course, since he's a minor, he's not going to prison, you know, till 21. And he got in a little bit, I think he said he got in a little bit more trouble. He might have done a couple extra years. But I didn't know him. We tracked him down on Facebook in 2020. My daughter found him. And we just reached out in hopes that he would talk to us. And he did, and he was upset. He's holding this over his head that he's put people, what he did, put people in prison, and that he's out, and that bothers him, you know. But he said he would do anything that he could do to help us, and he talked to Vicky Yost, and he gave her a statement. He did an affidavit for us that went in with David's application to the CIU. They interviewed him several times, and we, since I didn't know him, I made it a point to not talk to him a lot. I didn't want anybody to think I was, you know, trying to get him to do anything. And so our contact was as minimal. He would only contact me whenever they reached out to him and say, well, they're going to interview me here and they're going to do this here. And he would keep me up to date. But I tried not to have a lot of contact with him because I didn't want anybody to think I was doing anything untoward. And so once we put that application in, we just knew that was it. We just knew it. And when they turned him down, we just couldn't believe it.
And it seemed like Vicky Yost, she was the chief of police during that time that this was happening.
No,
it seemed like she would have a credibility with the CIU because she know all the players.
Right. And so she was telling me when we hired, because we found her by mistake as well. Somebody who was in prison with David, Alfonso Clark, who just happened to be the nephew of a lady that I went to church with. When she was working on his case, he brought up to David, something came up about your case while she was investigating my case. You might want to reach out to her. And so that's how we got in touch with Vicky. And it was just, that's how to hear her, she was encouraging me the whole way. She was the one that found out that his warrant got signed after the fact. All those years we never saw that. Maybe it was something we wouldn't even think to look for. But when we sent her all the paperwork, she was finding a lot of things that we didn't even see. And so that's why we were, we've got somebody who has these connections and she knows what she's looking for and she's helping us put in this application. We just knew that would be, the way to go. And so we've always tried to go through all these channels and we always kind of get let down, so where we are right now, it's like we're almost scared to do anything else because we just don't want to be disappointed again.
Miss Cheryl, I am sitting here and I'm feeling your heart. Your heart is just completely broken. And I am so sorry that you all are going through this. But I am encouraged because, people think they are getting away. They're not getting away with this. They are getting by for the moment. So I just want to encourage you and your family, to just continue on. We'll definitely be in prayer for y'all, but their day is coming, just like your son's day of freedom is coming. And I hear the scripture and it just applies to all mothers and people that have children suffering. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Tell yourself that every day. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Your son is coming home. And
I know.
And when I think about, I'm so disgusted to understand that this young man, the other young man, was 12 years old.
Yep.
12 years old. And it just, no wonder you would deny this. Because if we open this can of worms, it will open so many can of worms that they won't even be able to cover up a thing. These 3 cases are not the only cases. Nobody just says, "Oh, let me do this 3 times." No, that's somebody, right? To just do this over and over again. I'm so disgusted, but I'm encouraged for you and your family, and just looking forward to the day that your son comes home.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Miss Cheryl, I wanted to my heart, I just want to extend to you. I have a son who is an MDOC, and I know that feeling of, like you said, is no angel. You go through your things, when they're young and they're trying to figure out where their is. And one thing that I know is, because when he first got in trouble, everybody asked, what did he do? What was he into? Blah 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 blah. Why did
Yeah.
like they want to know all the details. So I was like, and I'm reminded when I worked, so I worked 14 years in higher education, and a lot of times we'd have like student interns and this and that, or graduate students, and I was saying that other people's children are able to be children until their late 20s or better.
Mm-hmm.
It's only our children that are held to this standard of needing to make adult decisions and being put in adult situations
Yep.
so early on. Um, at 21, you're not your full person yet.
No.
You're just not your full person.
And they try to put a lot of emphasis on the fact that he graduated high school. Like, oh, he knew everything. He graduated high school. I'm like, no, you know, like
Mm-mm.
that was like the end all be all that he graduated from high school.
That is not, that ain't not, that's not enough to make it out here.
No.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, I want to go back to, like, how do you get a 12-year-old and just harass a kid? This like Devontae Sanford all over again. When I read that, I was just like, this Wayne County, and we're gonna watch a video because she says something very key in this video in a minute.
You know what's
About,
sad about the situation for the 14 for Clifford, the 14-year. Can you hear me?
yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Diane.
That wrecked the rest of his life. That wrecked the rest of Clifford's life, because he ended up being convicted in a juvenile court. They had threatened him with taking him to adult court where he could have spent life. And he was convicted. He spent 7 years in juvenile institutions. And I read his record after that. He was in and out of prison for minor crimes. Now, those were the real formative years from 14 to 21, when he was locked away in prison for something he didn't do, that the people he testified about did not do, and subjected to who knows what in terms of prison. I know for Devontae Sanford, that whole experience was horrendous. He was 14 when he went to prison. And you can't
Devontae
even
went to prison.
imagine.
He lost his
I
eye.
deleted his full name from the story. Get him any unneeded.
Yeah. So I know I saw this in Miss Diane's story, sure, but were you ever told that multiple other gunshots were robberies was happening around Michigan at the same time? And did the investigators ever discuss other suspects with you?
Nope. David was it. It was David. There was somebody else that I found out through Diane's story. They were trying to get David to pull him in, and David didn't know who he was. They offered David a plea for 18 years if you would just testify at this other guy's trial. And Dave was like, well, I can't testify at a trial if I don't know who he is. I don't know, and I found out he eventually got arrested and acquitted. And so I'm just like, all we knew were just the three. It was Clifford, Anthony, and David. And the fourth guy, his name was Tayshawn or something like that. And those are just the four. We didn't hear about anybody else or anything else. I didn't know that until Diane's story.
Mm.
We just looked at it as like, it was just it was a high profile case. Somebody's got to go kind of thing, as far as I was concerned.
Right. They had to put it on somebody because the gun owner, the gun shop owner died.
Yeah, his family was very vocal. So, yeah.
Wow. And then Vicky Yo said that the case does not match David at all. The evidence didn't match, the crime scene, nothing. And so we look again at the CIU office. Like, what are you doing? And so when they come out, 2 weeks ago with this whole thing about how they're going to be, doing better, and they came out with this, and Diane wrote about that too, how they did this investigation into one of the exoneree's cases, and how, they did it in a space where it was, what was that term that they used, Trisha? No blameless, in a blameless space. So nobody's going to take accountability of the wrongful conviction, but you have.
I heard that. Yeah, she said, we're not going to point fingers and play the blame. I said, what?
Right.
She has to point the finger at herself.
I really love the fact that we're not blaming here. Girl, you gonna gaslight everybody that's watching this news clip? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Everything that has a cause, there is an effect. Stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I guess that's what, I don't know, y'all. And I'm trying to really be prayerful about this, but it's almost like I want to go on a defund CIU campaign. Because stop playing games with people. You're going to tell this young 12-year-old boy, oh my goodness, oh, we need to take your case. Oh, this is so horrible. But another young man who that this young man lied on, it. And you're going to deny the case? Of course you are. Of course you are. And that's, so yeah, you don't want blame, because anything that leads back to, especially her office, which is every case, because no case gets tried without a prosecutor. Whether it's prosecutorial misconduct, or whether it's the fact that the prosecutor accepted bogus charges and bogus claims from the police that they know are not true. Either way, it falls back at your door, and you are to blame. So you can stand in this blameless facade or myth if you want to, ma'am. But like, I know you watch these shows all the time. The blame is on you.
So just in case, some of us missed it, I want to play this video.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it very much. I want to start by, in the back, introducing people that are here from DPD. Yeah.
I'm Daphne Barmore. I'm the media director.
Okay.
Charles Fitzgerald, First Assistant Chief.
Carrie Sloan, Deputy Chief.
Okay. Pat, you go ahead.
Deputy Little, CIU.
Hello, Marielena David, Director of the Michigan State Appellate Defender Office.
Could you spell your first name, please?
Yes, it's Marilena.
Valerie Newman, Director of the Conviction Integrity Unit for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Todd Bettison, Chief of Police, Detroit.
Tracy Brame, Director of the Cooley Innocence Project.
Spell your last name, please.
Brame, Brame.
John?
John Holloway, Senior Advisor at the Quattrone Center for the Fair Administration of Justice at the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School.
Thank you. So we are here to talk about some real innovation that's happened here in Michigan. And as Mr. Holloway will tell you, I believe this is the first of its kind. First of its kind in the state of Michigan. But I first wanted to make some introductory remarks and say, when I first established the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office Conviction Integrity Unit in 2017, the first in the state of Michigan, by the way, I wanted several things to be clear. That no prosecutor's office should be afraid to look in earnest at its previous cases, that this was not going to be a unit in name only. And I think that was proven when I hired Valerie Newman, who this is, I want to say her life's work almost, doing this type of work, and that we were going to be serious about this work. We would not wholesale do anything, and we would be deliberate and thorough throughout the entire process. And among other things, we would learn valuable lessons along the way, and perhaps even figure out a way to lessen wrongful and unjust convictions. I knew nothing about the Quattrone Center at that time, but I learned about it several years later. Of course, I found out very quickly that Valerie Newman knew all about it, and I was committed to finding out more, and that led me to learning about the Sentinel review process that we're going to be here talking about today. Before then, I always wondered what we would constructively do with what we were learning in case after case after case in the CIU. I did not know that there already existed a vehicle to take a deep dive into a singular exoneration case. And that would, of course, the Sentinel review, which you can hear about today. Director Holloway will talk about that in a minute, but I personally wanted and pushed for this review for one of our exoneration cases. It took a while to happen because first it was cost prohibitive. And then eventually a grant was received by the center, the Quattrone Center, that entirely covered the cost of this innovative project. The steps that happened were as follows. A case had to be chosen, and Valerie Newman chose that case. It was an exhaustive process, but we wanted to make sure that we have the right case to do this on our first time out. And when I say first time out, I completely want to do this process again in future years. The stakeholders for this case, this wrongful conviction case, were identified. You see some of those stakeholders here today. We had initial meetings to explain the project and the processes for this project and get buy-in from all of the stakeholders. And that was critically important. One thing that is really clear and will be made clear throughout the remarks today, that this process was not a process that assigned and assessed blame or finger pointing. It was very important to me, and I think everybody, that that be done so we can have honest discussions and have honest recommendations and honest vehicles to make these changes. And once we told people that this was not a situation where we were assessing blame or pointing fingers, almost all the stakeholders were in it for the long haul. And Chief Bedison was one of the first to sign up, I have to say. Sadly, we were not able to convince all of the stakeholders to participate, and one was permanently unavailable because of his untimely death. Then Valerie Newman worked with the Quattrone Center to compile a list of people that had to be interviewed. As you can imagine, there were tens and tens of people that were considered, and I don't know how many interviews were done, but there are many, many interviews that were done. Again, a time-consuming and exhaustive process. The interviews were then, of course, conducted, and then detailed meetings among all the stakeholders took place. And that, again, was a lengthy process and a very necessary process. I think we met for 3 days, all day long. Then the report was drafted by the Quattrone Center, and finally the finalization of the report. The full report is 54 pages long with a 6-page executive summary, but I hope really that you will read the whole report. And all this process lasted for 18 months, and in my view, while prickly at times, it was well worth it, and I hope, as I said before, to repeat this process again with another case in the future. There were many recommendations made, and it was heartening to know that quite a few of the recommendations, specifically as it results to the Detroit Police Department and my office, had already been implemented or were in the process of being implemented for that change before this review even began. There are some recommendations that we still must work on. Some will be difficult, and many will require other members of the criminal justice system to participate and acquiesce. Some of these recommendations, one of them in particular, will require a revisit by the Michigan Supreme Court in the way the law is directing us as prosecutors now. And of course, resources, and this will be a surprise to no one, are always an issue, especially when you have a huge office like we do. We're the largest in the state of Michigan. We do over 60% of all the criminal cases in the state. It's probably higher than that, probably close to 65 or 70. And also the volume when we have an office like mine, it's hard to implement some of these changes, but we intend to try. We're not going to let that be a barrier to making some of these recommendations work. We can always be better and do better, and we are committed to doing so. So if we can help Director Holloway, I knew I'd make that mistake, to come up and talk about the Quattrone Center.
So 70% of the cases that are in Michigan Department of Corrections come from Wayne County. So they just feeding MDOC.
Yeah. I love how resources always come into play, but it's somebody's life. I don't understand that. We'll try. You're talking about somebody's life.
Life is a resource. That's because they're not seeing that our young men and women are a resource. That's when they put people against resources, that is making a value decision that we're not valuable as a dollar. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I just listened to somebody who has no remorse. Somebody that has no remorse, because any one of us, if we can't be accountable for the things that we know we do,
right?
And then you want to sit up and say, "Oh, we're not above." Oh, like basically, we're not above reproach. Oh, we want to take a look and see if we're wrong, huh? How many cases did you deny? How did you let Michael Lawson stay in prison for 5 years after Carl Brunner came home when you knew your office withheld the videos from the original trial? How? Why you didn't pick his case? You could have picked him. As a matter of fact, that would have saved some of the grant money, because that was just open for the whole world to see, except you would not look. But you will stand there with your nice little wig on, probably too tight to your brain, and lie and say that you want to use this again. You want to use this again, but you got information from Mr. McKinney that you know is his innocence, but you will turn his case down? Nah, man, I don't know. I feel like because of her lack of remorse, God going to be the only one to be able to get to her.
Yep.
I don't know what is going to happen, but what I do know is be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sow, your tail gonna reap that. And so if you don't believe God, believe that karma will come and tap you on your shoulder in a manner that will have you humble yourself. I'm just, y'all, let me get out here, because I this is just disgusting. It's disgusting.
I can't get over how the CIU did not pick this case up, especially when you have a chief, a former chief of the same police, who is the private investigator, pulling up. She has access to everything. She knows all the players. She sent her whole report. How can you not? How do you pass on that? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we are here tonight discussing this, and my heart to you, Cheryl, your family, and all the families out here who have loved ones that are behind bars, and especially those who are wrongfully convicted. And I just want to say that even if a person is convicted, our practice of how we house and take care of people is horrendous. And so I don't want to justify it on any level ever. And what I find, they could have picked this case. They didn't want to, because it's wrong all the way around. I don't see any place in the case where they had any justification, And when you look at from the beginning, just the interrogation practice that was used and utilized, they were already acting as if they were above the law. So she's probably going to pick things. She's going to pick cases that don't have direct accusation towards her and her people. She's picking cases that are vague, because the ones that truly point the fingers, all fingers point in her direction. Fingers and toes of bodies, all of these bodies pointing towards her and the administration. So you want to tell me that's not clear? They don't pick it because they're guilty.
Mm-hmm.
They're guilty. They don't want to be held accountable.
They want to blame
I think that's why I think right now the light is shining on those hidden places, and we have to continue to shine the light and spare not. Cry loud, because it's time for this to stop. I'm really disgusted. And I want people to understand that how we treat one another makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And to ignore this is a travesty. This is something where we all should be extremely upset about, because that could be your child. In fact, that is. This is our people. So thank you, Cheryl, for coming forward.
Thank
and
you.
Everyone who's working with you to turn this around.
Yeah. And I would just say that it is because it's our child, but it's more than that. Like, we don't know where he could be right now.
That's right.
It's 20 years, I feel like, I'm just getting into my own groove. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And because my son just moved from the facility your son is at, and they are the antithesis of growth out there. I'll just say that much.
He's been there for 11 years. He's been there 11 years.
Wow. We did 11 months there, and I about to die.
Yeah. Yep.
First of all, the trip is a trip in of itself, because it's so far. It's in the middle of West Bumblefuge, and for real, you got to go over the bridge and all that. Nobody, you don't see anybody. I thought I saw a Native American. I wanted to hug him, just because it was somebody that was remotely of color. It really is like that, and so you feel it at the, like the amount of money that was just to have somewhere to stay that night, stay over there. And we got lost at a certain point. The GPS went off, and we couldn't find a place that would allow us to use the bathroom. I felt like I was in Jim Crow South. The pull that is on a family too. I just want to, you're not doing the cell time, but you are doing time. That's 3 years that part of your life has been arrested too. I'm 4 in. Tomorrow makes 4 years, and I'm not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I have lived this experience as well, Cheryl. How has this experience impacted you and your family, mentally and spiritually and even financially? Because I know for myself, just constantly, when it first happened to my son, I had no clue on what to do. I walked around for about a month with my cell phone literally in my hand, because I didn't want to miss his call. I didn't know when he was going to call.
Yes.
Because nobody tells you nothing. They're just gone, right? And so you walk around with a phone in your hand. You're on pins and needles. You can't sleep at night. It's just a lot. So how did it impact you, Cheryl?
I hate it. Only when he had the drug issue was it impacting me. The day to day, we're fine. I mean, I speak to David like 4 or 5 times a day. And I've always just see it as a blessing from God. He's never and we've never been in need of anything. God is taking care of all of it. And so just that 2 or 3 years where he was in deep, where he almost lost his life like 3 or 4 times behind that stuff. And the money that I had to pay to get him out of trouble was more money than I've spent just to keep him in what he needs. But it's brought us closer. The only person he's lost his granny, and he took it better than I thought he would, because she was like second mom. I had David when I was 19. And so that was mom too, and we always prayed that he would get out before she passed on, and it didn't happen. She passed away last June. And, but his relationship with his sister is better, with me is better. It's just like, you hate to say, sometimes I tell God, if this is what it took to bring us together, okay, we got it. But at this point, it's time for David to come home. That's
right.
Yeah. If this is what it took for things in our family to turn around, I get you. I understand. But for him to be there at this point now where he keeps asking, I'm in here for something I didn't do. I could see if it was something I did and I had to, but we're okay. I mean, yeah, the fact that he's been in the UP for 11 years, I think is the only thing that's a long ride. You only get to see him maybe twice a year. Maybe we try to make it 3, but that's it, and once he turned his life around, I sleep better at night. I don't have to, I used to worry about which David am I going to get when he picks up the phone, when I pick up the phone. And you could tell in the first minute how he says hello, what kind of conversation we're going to have. And so lately it's been okay, except now he wants to come home. We all want him to come home. We just want the MDOC to be out of our life at this point. I don't understand half of the things that they do. A lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it just adds another burden to the family, to jump through a billion hoops just to do something. And you can't send them this and you can't send them that. And that's allowed, but not that. And it's just, and some of it doesn't make any sense. It's a book. What is he going to do with a book? You know what I'm saying? Just like the little nonsense things.
Right.
That just don't make sense to me. But the family is closer because of it. And I don't know if you can say it fortunately or unfortunately. It's but we're tired. We're tired.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what keeps you fighting.
Because God promised me the David got sentenced, that David was coming home. I've never had any doubt in my mind that he was coming. It was just how, when. So I've never had any doubt that David was coming home.
Yeah.
It's just, who knew it was going to be 21 years later, but he's still coming home. I know he is, and I think, I hate to say he'll be a better person because of it. His whole mindset has changed. He's grown up there, but he hasn't taken on. I mean, right now it's kind of funny to hear him talk about some of the other guys. Their mindset is like they need to be reading, they need to be this, and they need to be that, and they're just so. A lot of them are just so still in the streets in their mindset, and David can't understand that they can't get past that, and that when you come home, you can't go back to that. Who wants to come back here? You know? And so he's sort of kind of the old man in his group right now. He's 42, but he's older than most of the young men there. And it's a bad thing. He doesn't have people his age to talk to or people in his mindset to talk to. And he gets lonely a lot. David, I think that's the main thing. He gets lonely, with just having a conversation that doesn't have to do with the streets. you know, and because he's not there anymore.
Right.
And so I thank God for that. You know, he's taken some classes. We paid for him to take some classes, you know, to try to keep his mind focused on something positive to do, and to get him through the day. And so,
Diane, so Detective, what's his name, Del Greco, in your article, you discuss how he's been linked to different cases, how he's been linked to all these different cases, and now you say he's working for the Wayne County medical examiner's office. So how he can, you know, jump from one space to the other with no accountability. What that tells us about, or you, or any of us, about the system.
Yes, including the Wayne County Medical Examiner, the validity of the autopsies and their analysis. They have a lot to do with what the interaction with the police departments involved.
That's like, that's the last place it needs to be.
Right.
I found that out last year when I went to an evidentiary hearing for Robin Hammock. It's a friend of David's that I've met while David's been in prison, and he just needed somebody to sit there while he was having this hearing. You know, none of his family could show up, and I told him I'd come down. And when I saw Del Greco walk in the courtroom, I just like, oh my God, I hadn't seen this man in so long. And, you know, they called him as a witness, and still don't understand why Robin is still in there after what he testified to, because he contradicted what he said at his trial. But yet Robin is still, they turned down his case as well. And this, I don't understand it. But when he said, they asked him what he did, and he said he worked for the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office. I was like, what? I was like, I couldn't believe it.
They recycle these people. Just like, you know, they have like some of the officers that had, one of the officers that had been named in a few wrongful convictions was working for the AG office, you know, until all these cases started coming out. Like, they recycle these people they know about.
Right.
They continue to recycle them and put them in other places. And then you get this whole thing about how, you know, right, a blameless environment, you know, we're going to do better, but we're not going to blame anybody. This is crazy.
Baloney. Yeah. What she meant to say is, we're going to do better. We're going to do better, but we don't want to take any responsibility for the damage that we have already done. That's what she's trying to say. So better, that's not better. That's not better. Better is trying to correct what you have. I mean, for us to be a major contributor to the Department of Justice is horrible.
Right.
And it's a reflection of how we treat people. It's a true reflection.
Meanwhile, all these people who you're saying that, you know, you don't want to blame, have victims, their wrongful doings, and these prisons that 70% of your cases of the state come from your office, you know. So it's just, it baffles the mind. And then to, you know, to mess up that young man's life, the juvenile, just tear him up. You know, how many examples of people are you going to use before you guys realize that this stuff needs to be dismantled? This stuff needs, it just needs, you are creating too many problems. I mean, just like, was it a couple of weeks ago, Diane, where the guy had said that he was wrongfully convicted, and the only way he could come home during COVID, he had to agree to not sue the prosecutor's office. Like, come on.
And it is a money thing too. It's a money thing too, because they know But the thing is, you put people someplace that they weren't supposed to be. I mean, I don't understand why you don't think that that would come back on you at some point. But I guess they figure, like you said, they're above the law and you can't really touch me. So
Right.
Yeah, and so
And
that's where
they're the criminals. They're the criminals.
Yeah.
What they do to take some, that's like killing somebody to send them to prison for life.
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. Look at
Yeah.
Crystal right now. She got a whole death sentence for something that she didn't do. Not a motive, and there's just eating her alive, and everybody is silent. It's just crazy. So, Diane, is there something else you want to add?
Yeah.
Kevin Haynes said,
well, yeah, there is some hope on the horizon in this state, and that's because of. Hello?
Yeah,
Can you
we
hear
listening.
me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some hope on the horizon in this state because of the Michigan Supreme Court. We have a Supreme Court that has, I believe, 5 women and 2 men on it. And one of the men is Noah Hood, who's a black judge. The others are women, black and white, who have been issuing some very progressive decisions. And one of the cases that I wanted to mention in conjunction with David's case is his arraignment was delayed beyond the time that they were allowed to hold him. The common perception in Michigan 72 hours, that's old law. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned that in a national ruling, saying that 48 hours is the limit they can hold you before you go to an arraignment in front of a judge, before you see a judge. Now, there's a case currently pending in front of the Michigan Supreme Court about the delay in arraignment. It is the case of Mr. Sanders. It's coming. One second, I got the details here. Okay, where did I put the case? It's the Michigan Supreme Court case number 167899. John Harrell, he was up for 64 hours, arraigned. And that's one of the contentions that the attorneys the defense attorneys are raising in his case. He's accused of being responsible for the death of his baby. And there is that kind of science that goes, the shaken baby syndrome, things like that, has been declared junk science, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the contentions that we have the brief for that case, and I sent it to Miss McKinney too. So that hopefully will set a further precedent in the state of Michigan regarding that issue about delay in arraignment.
That second
And,
baby.
Even if what's happening right now with case Wayne County is that there's a bunch of judges up there that got put in there because they were raised with a silver spoon by former police and judges, corrupt police and other judges, and they are just ignoring what the higher courts, like the Court of Appeals and the Michigan Supreme Court, even, we have 30 cases that we've listed where the lower courts in Wayne County have just ignored. They keep ping-ponging back and forth with the Court of Appeals. And the thing, once you get in the courts, you've got to keep on fighting till at least you get to the Michigan Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's something that David should look forward to too. once he has a new complaint filed. There's so much his case that they would be open to. I'm not guaranteeing anything, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do that.
Right.
But I'm hopeful in
Yeah.
that case.
So, Cheryl, how can we support you? What do you want the community and people that's watching to know, and how can they support you? And David.
That one I don't know. We're just, I guess, just prayer. You know, I started a GoFundMe a couple of weeks ago after Diane's story came out, because at this point we're going to have to try and find Clifford all over again. Like I said, I have not kept in touch with him. Eventually we're going to need an attorney to file his motion to get back into court. But just prayer that we can hold out until it's our time, you know.
How do we keep up with the case? Is there, can you give us where to find it, on whether it's a GoFundMe or if you have a link tree, or you want people to email you? Or
I mean, you can email me. We don't have anything on I don't do social media. My daughter kind of sort of does, but we don't have anything other than Diane's story. Like when I did the GoFundMe, I put a link to the story in the GoFundMe page.
Okay.
But other than that,
okay, I'll publish.
Well, hopefully this helps you.
And I'll publish that again.
I'll share it on my pages.
Right.
Thank you.
And hopefully this gives you another thing that you can share to get his story out. But I would say use your platforms as much as possible to, you know, just engage people in your story.
Well, we did get
when we did the
GoFundMe, we did get somebody from Cooley reach out, and she asked David to write a letter, and so he's written a letter to the Cooley Innocence Project, and
That's
so
awesome.
hopefully something will come from that. But we weren't even looking for it. It was just a friend who knew somebody that worked there, and they said, you know, tell him to send us a letter, and so.
So yeah, send us the link as well, Cheryl, so we can put it out there and add it, you know, and the stream comments as well.
I just wanted to say to Jay that I want Cheryl to know that just like with Trisha and Jay, and with all the efforts of Diane and Leslie and others, just keep expecting a way. Keep expecting a way, because you don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen, but just know that it's going to happen, because you're going to be walking by faith and not by sight. All of your body, your intellect, your mind is being governed by faith and not by sight. And there's going to be a way, but we just don't always know what vein it's going to be. We don't know which way it's going to happen, but that path is going to light up. And he's coming home, and we are in agreement with you. We pray with you. We are in agreement. We stand in agreement, and we're two or more are gathered in that power. It shall be done. And I appreciate you this evening.
Oh, I appreciate you all. I really do. That's the only reason why I'm still standing after 21 years. The only reason why I am still standing here is God. He's carried us this whole way. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. I'm glad I got a chance to meet you. So in person next time. Yeah.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, just stay connected with us, and you know, you have my email. Just send me, you know, the link and everything, and we'll continue to push and pray. And if you have any anything new come up or anything, just contact us. I'm sure Diane would contact me, and we're, do a follow-up story on this. Hopefully this also helps get this information to what's his name? The young man,
Clifford.
Yeah. Get this to Clifford. Maybe he'll by chance see this and reach back out or reach out to Diane. I'm just stunned by the whole thing. I can't be surprised because they always that prosecutor's office always have some weirdo stuff going on down there. So but we're gonna let's stand with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Diane, before I hit to Diane, sure, is there anything else you want to, the viewers to know or to leave us with?
No, that's it. I just appreciate the platform. Thank you.
You're welcome. Diane, is there anything, you got going on?
Yeah, I did want to I wanted to update people briefly on what's happening with the case of Michael D. Graffenried. He appeared on the show with me a few weeks ago, and after his conviction was overturned by one of the decent judges in Wayne County, Tracy Green, it was overturned without prejudice, and the prosecutor. This was a case where the chief investigative officer in the case, Darian K. Williams, was convicted in federal court of running around Michigan in his Inkster police car, robbing drug dealers, conspiring with them to set them up and rob them and he was convicted in a case involving the U.S. District in Chicago of that. And that's on the record. He was the chief investigative officer. It's incredible that they would appeal that, but they did. They're wasting our taxpayer dollars appealing cases like that. Now, in his case, Michael said that he wants a retrial. Okay, but instead of them just letting it go to the Court of Appeals, held it up longer, and he's waiting. Actually, they owe him $3,000 that he paid for the funeral of the victim, which he never did kill the victim. He's innocent, and so that's being held up during the process. Wow. He's home without kind of compensation. Has been postponed till February 23rd, 2026, and a jury retrial is scheduled for April 13th next year. So, they just hang people out there, despite the clear knowledge that was a wrongful conviction by criminal players. In this case, literally a criminal who was convicted in federal court. He was running around doing all that at the time that Michael D. Graffenried was on trial. And he testified during the trial, and that was never raised to Michael D. Graffenried's defense. So it's just incredible that they sit up there. They had that press conference acting like they're really doing something, which they made clear how they funded it. And, what is the purpose of having anybody in public office that's just going to waste the taxpayers' money to further their own objectives? I mean, it's the same thing as Donald Trump when you come down to it. He's, furthering his objectives agenda at the expense of the masses of the people in this country, and Kim Worthy is furthering her agenda at the expense of thousands of prisoners that are still locked up, many of them up to 80% during the period in Wayne County during the 90s, according to one of the private investigators, Scott Lewis, are likely innocent. Scott Lewis said in general, across the state of Michigan, likely 30% of prisoners are innocent. And, you know, it's just mind-boggling to see this happening. But it's what it is, and we just confront terms that we need to confront.
Right, and we continue to fight for another day and put this out here. But we also have to look at ourselves too. We have to also look at who we're voting with. We have to educate ourselves, educate our communities. We have to get involved because people are only doing what you allow them to do, right? And so if you're sitting back and you're not doing anything, you're not saying anything, you're part of the problem as well. You know, this machine runs off the fact that you're not doing anything. It continues to happen because you're not saying anything. You know, but we all have a vested interest in the whole thing because guess what? It's our money that's paying for this. It's our money that pays for the wrongful convictions. It's our money that pays for these lawsuits. It is our money. And so, and it is our money when they say, hey, we're broke and we need more funding for this and we need more funding for that. And so we're sitting back, seeing all of these cases. And it's been a flow of them. It's not just one or two here and there. It is constant flowing out. And when we sit back and act like it's not us, so it doesn't affect us, it could be you. It could easily be you. It was so easy to be David. It was so easy to be Gerard. It was so easy to be Larry. It's so easy. It can happen to anybody at any time. So we have to get involved because we're sitting back paying for our own demise. You know, these people they're saying, hey, this is a blameless situation. So that means there's no accountability. And they get to hop on from department and continue to work with no accountability and then have a pension and live their life happily. Meanwhile, your loved one is sitting in one of these mold-infested, toxic prisons off of the fact that these people did something and nobody's going to hold them accountable for. So it's up to us. We have to change our mindset to want more better. You know, just because she said we're going to do better, that don't mean nothing if the better is not bringing people home. So we have to do it. It's up to us. We can't keep waiting for somebody else to do it. We got to do it. So that's about it, you guys. Did you have something, Leslie?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things for people who might be listening and not being able to see the GoFundMe that the McKinneys have. It's under GoFundMe, and then it's Help David Fight for Justice and Freedom. So it's under David McKinney. Also, I don't think we said Diane's whole name. It's Diane Bukowski, and that's the voice of Detroit. So that's Bukowski. And I think she is still out for, or has a donation platform. Is that correct? To continue to do this work, because investigative reporting is very difficult. I'm a reporter, but I've mostly been a community reporter in the past and journalist. So people do not
That's
pay.
what's so important right now because
Diane, I'm sorry.
Her browser is messed up. But yeah, you're right.
It's so important. And And most people only see mainstream media, and that's where all the money goes, but it's also owned by, the people that don't need us. Right. So we have to support local media, we have to support it. And I want to bring up the little R word. I'll send this out to Jay. I think she has it. But next Friday at 11:30, I will be having a discussion on reparations. And Trisha Duckworth and Alex Thomas will be part of that conversation, along with my friend Mr. Ashworth, who's actually traced his family by dollar. Like how much people have made off of selling family members by dollar. So I'm excited about that talk, and hopefully we can have that conversation.
Yes. Thank you, Leslie. I'm going to be watching that. Yes. And it's important that we, that we do participate in this, in these kind of conversations, because the more we participate in these conversations, we can have these conversations with others. And the more we're having conversation, it ignites people and to get into action. So thanks, Leslie. Graviteer, you got something coming up?
Look, rest and relaxation. I hope that's what I have coming up. I have coming up that I'm not going to be going to any stores. That's what I got coming up. I'm going to be spending time with my grandbaby. That's what I got coming up. I mean, I'm taking out time to do what is right for me. And I think getting back with the family, setting precedents, letting them know what, we got to have these conversations with our loved ones and stop faking the funk out here, y'all. Stop faking like things are just all right. And I'm not saying be down. And gloomy. But I'm saying let's get real, have the conversation with your family, but have the conversation about empowerment. Have the conversation about what you really need to be doing, and lift up one another and love one another and pray and believe God. And so, Jay, thank you so much. And I think that's what we do. That's how we keep going. That's how we make it through. And not only that, we're going to be thriving. And I keep my eyes set on that. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you.
Leslie, Kevin said, what is your show on Facebook?
It's called The People's Toolkit, and you can find it by either following me, Leslie McGraw, or going to, it's a group, the Albert Williams Voting Corner, and it's a website as well. And Albert Williams was my great-grand-uncle who was lynched for trying to help people to vote, and they took our land and pushed us out. We were made into refugees, and that's how we came from Tennessee to Michigan.
Leslie, so Kevin, follow Leslie McGraw on Facebook for more details. All right, you guys, it's been a great evening, and we're going to see you next Friday with Mr. James Jones, who is presently wrongly convicted as well, with his mom, Diane Jones, and his wife, Stacy Jones, next Friday. And so thank you for joining us again on Turning a Moment into a Movement. Oh, and Larry will be with us as well next week. Thank you. Good night.
Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just a light of mine. Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man. I need to breathe. All I know is trauma. All I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a cup of noodles. You know what that feel like? Yeah, you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV, ooh-wee, because that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.